and welcome to Mason Sports Insider. I'm Tyler Byrum. With me is Dan Ward. This is the final episode of the year. We know not every sport is done yet, but for us, it's time for everything to wrap every sport up. It is finals time. We're leaving in less than 2 weeks. Been a very quick year.
Yeah, definitely has been a fast year. I'm kind of surprised at how quickly we're here, but time to wrap things up. One final episode.
Yep, this week we'll be doing things a little bit differently. We'll be unveiling the Mason Sports Insider top 5 teams from the school year. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it, revealing team number 5.
Getting that number 5 spot on our top 5 teams is the women's basketball team. Head coach Nyla Millicent, in her 3rd season with the team, had her best season yet. The team began by shocking the A10 when they went into St. Louis for the first conference game of the season and defeated them. They then went on, finished with an overall record of 12-19 and a conference record of 6-10. That put them at 9th place at the end of the season, and then thanks to their playoffs run, they finished 5th overall in the A10. They avoided the play-in game, which is the first time they've been able to do that, and they made it to the quarterfinals of the A10 tournament. First time either basketball program has done that since joining the A10, so in a way, it was a historical season for the women's basketball team. However, they did lose to number 1 George Washington, who would go on to eventually win the A10 tournament. On a individual note, Taylor Brown, the star of the team, finished 2nd all-time in Mason history with 1,693 points and is the only player for either basketball team to finish with over 1,500 points, 400 rebounds, and 300 assists, and she did that in only 3 seasons. Well deserving to make this list, the women's basketball team.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor Brown, she has just been the integral key role of this team. She is basically, while they were having the whole coaching transition, been the whole reason for the basketball team to be important on the team. Nothing to disrespect the women's basketball team, but they had kind of been having some rough seasons, bottom of the A10, even bottom of the CAA, but Taylor Brown was always the shining star on the whole entire team. So seeing her go out in such a big way, best season that she's had all of her career, best season that the team's had while she's been here, it was pretty good for the team to see that.
Without a doubt. And she's not done yet. She's well on her way for more success, whether that's in basketball or out of school, doing something related to her business. She is very involved with this type of a program, setting up videos and video editing. So she is well on her way to having a great career and a great success. And the team should be pretty good next season, despite them losing Taylor Brown. They will lose their leading scorer, but they have a lot of talent on this team, and they showed that this season. The freshman class of Chinyere Bell and Jewel Triggs, very strong. And then the juniors that came in first season in, because most of them were transfers, they have been playing really strong, especially Kara Wright, who will have a big role next year, as she will be the leader of the team.
Yeah, my only concern is not only are they losing Taylor Brown, but they're also losing Christy McCube, who was big inside the post for the team. And while you have the outside scorer and inside scorer, which Taylor Brown is, Christy McCube was that big man, if you will, or big woman, excuse me, that was always inside, able to post up against her defender and go up against some of the bigger, more athletic players in the Atlantic 10 and sometimes outside of the conference as well. So losing both of them, I think, is going to be a huge loss for the team. But Kara Wright, as you mentioned, she had a fantastic year, and I think she'll be able to fill in for Taylor Brown quite well. Moving on now to team number 4, and that will be the women's soccer team, who actually celebrated the 30th anniversary of the 1985 Women's Soccer National Championship. Under first-year head coach Todd Bramble, who had previously coached at Alabama, finished right at 500 with a 9-9-2 overall record, 4-5-1 in the Atlantic 10. They did enough this season to claim their second A10 tournament out of the 3 years that they have been a part of the Atlantic 10 by placing number 8 in the 8-team tournament. However, they set up a first-round matchup against the number 1 seed George Washington Colonials, who were undefeated 10-0 in conference play. In a defensive-oriented match, the Patriots would shock the Colonials 1-0 with a lone goal coming from Abby Downey in the 76th minute. The defense, though, of Mason limited GW to only 10 shots, and only 4 of those being on goal. The win shot the Patriots to the A10 semifinals with a wide-open bracket. Unfortunately, though, for Mason, they would fall to the 5th seed Fordham Rams in a 1-1 game that came down to penalty kicks, which would end the season. So, women's soccer team, brand new head coach, brand new system, brand new format. However, they beat the number 1 seed in the Atlantic 10 tournament, and I mean, heck, just making the postseason tournament after having a coaching change is just great for the team.
Yeah, they were the ones that really got it started this season. We've seen a lot of coaching changes with a variety of teams, and they were one of the first ones, and they had great success, and I think that's led throughout the rest of the sports here at Mason. But I remember watching that first game on the A10 network against George Washington, and just getting so excited. I think I was in the middle of class, and then I just stopped class and said, "Hey, by the way, the women's team just won," and everybody actually clapped, and they recognized that the team was doing well. So that was such a fun game to watch. Sarah Hardison and Alex Myers, they were phenomenal to watch. They had spectacular seasons. Hardison with 10 goals, Myers 12 points between 5 goals and 7 assists. They will both be back as well, so good things to come for the soccer team.
Yeah, it was a weird tournament. You mentioned that game. The top 4 seeds all lost in the first game. Number 5, Fordham, number 6, LaSalle, number 7, Duquesne, and number 8, George Mason actually won, with the Duquesne Dukes actually going on to win as the 7th seed.
That's interesting. You you don't see that often.
Yeah, the Patriots, though, they started out pretty well in Atlantic 10 play. They finished the year 0-3-1. I remember there was a concern that the Patriots might not even make the tournament, but being able to turn around like that just goes to show the leadership of Todd Bramble and the leadership of the team, being able to turn around like that and get a huge win. Next season, they will be returning 2 integral players who made the second team All-Atlantic 10, and Sarah Hardison, who had 10 goals and 2 assists on the year, and you also mentioned Alex Myers with 5 goals and 7 assists. Also getting the conference honors is rookie Nia Elbeck, 2 goals, 1 assist, and only 15 games played, as she made the all-rookie team. So moving forward, what do you think is going to be the plan for this team?
Well, I think they are going to be strong offensively. You look at who they're losing: Sydney Mitchell, Emma Starr, Amanda Stevenson. Those are a couple of big defensive names, especially. So being able to fill that role, I'm not sure who's going to take that, but the fact that you're bringing back 2 of your top scorers in Hardison and Myers, they've had multiple years now of building a chemistry, and they're bringing back their leading goalkeeper in Kirsten Glad, so that will be huge. But that line in front of Glad, that's going to be my biggest question mark going into next season, but I think the offense is going to be fine. If they want to ride the wave of the offense, maybe that's what they'll do, but you don't have to worry about that in the offseason. Build up the defense throughout the offseason. That's what I think is the main focus.
Yeah, they're going to be losing 3 players in Sydney Mitchell, Emma Starr, and Amanda Stevenson. Starr really the only one playing the entire season. I mean, Sydney Mitchell, she started 18 games. Not really much on the statistics. She was a midfield forward on the roster. Sometimes she would go back and play defense as well. Starr, she had 3 goals and 2 assists, and that's really all the team is losing as far as offensive production, as Amanda Stevenson only played in 5 games on the year. But I agree with you. They have a very talented young group of players going forward, and Sarah Hardison leading the team, and Alex Myers, and you mentioned goalkeeper coming back. That's huge for a team having a goalkeeper come back.
Definitely. There's one name that I can't remember now. It's bothering me because whoever was in the middle right in front, the middle defensive player on the team, she will be back, I'm pretty sure. And I remember 0 stats because she's a key defenseman, but the fact that she'll be coming back as well, that'll be good for the team. So perhaps the defense will be strong now that I have that remembrance. But definitely on the rise, the women's soccer team. They're not done just yet. They had a great season. They'll be back for more next year.
Definitely a young team, and they are being built for success in the future. Who knows, maybe a future national championship once again. Now we'll move on to the number 3 team in our top teams for Mason Sports Insider, and that will be the men's track and field team, as well as throwing in there the cross country team, because they're essentially the same thing. Kicking off the school year, the cross country team, who won the Atlantic 10 championship last season, finished 5th in the A10. However, Stephen Flynn won the individual A10 championship in the 8-kilometer race of 24 minutes and 21 seconds. 20 whole seconds faster than second place. In the NCAA Southeast Regional, Stephen Flynn would actually finish 15th overall, the highest position of any Mason Patriot ever on the men's side, with the team finishing 12th, both teams just missing qualifying for the NCAAs. At the IC4A Championship, senior Stuart Lambden Crowell, with Flynn not racing, he was the second place runner for Mason all season long. He would go on to finish 4th in that championship, his highest finish of the year. Moving on to the indoor season, the team went into A10 championships looking to top Rhode Island for the title this year. Despite winning 6 individual championships, the team would fall just short by 4 points to the Rhode Island Rams. The outdoor season has not yet been completed, with the championship coming this weekend, which will be hosted at Mason Stadium, where the Patriots swept both the men's and women's competitions last season. So men's team dominating last year. They're doing really well this year, and they have the chance to do it once again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the A10 championships coming up right here at the Mason Stadium here on the Fairfax campus. So definitely a strong season all the way around, from the fall all the way through here into the spring semester. Those guys, especially runners like Stephen Flynn, I don't know how they do it. I go for a run around the block and I'm tired and I'm done. They are phenomenal athletes. I don't think we give them. We've talked about them a lot, but they still should get a lot of credit because they are phenomenal.
Yeah, looking at Stephen Flynn, what he's accomplished this year, we mentioned he won the A10 cross country championship, also won the 3,000 meter indoor championship at the Atlantic 10 indoor title, and on outdoor season he set a school record at the Raleigh Relays with the 5,000 meter with a time of 13 minutes and 55 seconds, which at the time was the second best in the entire country collegiately. So Stephen Flynn, only a junior, so we still have another year of Stephen Flynn bringing it for this team.
The stars of the juniors. This is a strong junior class that we have here at Mason and throughout the sports. So Stephen Flynn coming back, and I think his performance really helped Andrew Gerard win the A10 Men's Coach of the Year. He was very well deserving of it, but the fact that he had a runner like Stephen Flynn to kind of back him up and build his portfolio a little bit, that definitely helps, because give a lot of credit to Gerard. He coached but all the teams to a lot of success, and he never gave up on them. Even when they had bad races, he made sure to come back, had a strong week of practice, and they usually rebounded quickly, and that's a lot due to coaching.
Yeah, we'll also mention Junior Bernard Freeman. He was named the A10 Men's Most Outstanding Track Performer at the Indoor Championships. He also won the 60-meter dash, tying an Atlantic 10 record, and the 200-meter dash for the indoor season. Sophomore John Seals won the indoor high jump. He has not lost that competition.
Yeah, what is that now, 3 for 3? Or
yep, 3 for 3. He'll be going for 4 for 4 here at home, with also senior Jimmy Telle won the triple jump at the indoor championship. So all these guys will be looking to continue their success at the Outdoor A10 Championships. Again, that is this upcoming weekend, hosted at Mason Stadium.
Now we'll move on to the number 2 spot. The team taking this spot is a team whose season is not yet just done, but they have done enough to take the number 2 spot. It is the women's lacrosse team. Under second-year head coach Jesse Morgan, they have had one of the best seasons they have had in program history. They nearly ended the University of Massachusetts consecutive conference winning record earlier this season in a close game. Prior to that, they had been blown out by UMass in the last 2 seasons, so the fact that they were close to beating them this year proved that this was going to be a special season. They ended up tying a program record for wins in a season with 12 and broke the program record for conference wins with 7. They finished the regular season with the 7-2 conference record and a 12-4 overall record, which puts them as the 2nd seed in the upcoming A10 tournament. If they're able to win the A10 tournament or have a good enough success in it, they should receive an NCAA tournament bid, something that they have never done in program history. So great season for the women's lacrosse team, and it's not just yet done.
Yeah, and I think what goes for this women's lacrosse team is the youth of this team. I mean, they did not have a goalkeeper coming in. And I know if you've been watching our broadcast, we've been talking about it week after week after week. Elizabeth Benedetto has stepped in a huge role for the team. Just outstanding performance as a freshman goalkeeper. And she's not the only one on the team. Kachi Callahan, which I know you are absolute, just love her play out there. Rachel Woods back in defense. These guys, they're playing every game, and they're performing quite well for this team.
Exactly right. We knew that they were going to be a strong team coming in because of the junior class. Last season as sophomores, they led the team in goal scorers. Jacqueline Spalding, who's now a junior, and Alexa McGovern, 2 leading goal scorers last year. Melissa Lovcaro joining them. They're all juniors this year, and they've still been phenomenal this season. They've had actually better seasons than they did last year, but then the freshmen coming in and it just helping them out. Chachi Callahan scoring over 30 goals in her freshman season. Rachel Woods coming up big defensively. Elizabeth Benedetto, as you said. That just really helped the team, and I think it was a pleasant surprise for head coach Jesse Morgan and the rest of the team to have these freshmen come in and make such a big impact immediately to the team.
And they've been able to make this run with senior Gina Purdue missing the entire last half of the season. She's out for the rest of the year due to an injury that happened earlier in the season, but they've just done a fantastic job. They're losing only 4 seniors this year, and they're really 4 seniors that are all over the board on the depth chart and on the field. So there isn't going to be a huge hole on this team going forward. This may be the start of something great to come for the women's lacrosse team.
Without a doubt, as you mentioned, few holes are going to be lost. They are losing the great play of Erin Anderson and Kelly Beard, 2 of the captains on the team, so somebody else will have to take over that leadership role. But as far as holes, there's plenty of players to come in, fill those slots. Again, all the goal scorers are returning, so the offense is going to be one of the tops in the league again. And a very strong junior class that is going to be a senior class, arguably one of the best in the conference. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a joy to watch. All right, so we've gone through our top, or our number 2 through 5 teams so far. That means there's only one left. But real quick, before we reveal that, we'll go ahead and mention our honorable mentions, which last night Dan and I were actually going back and forth on who deserves to be in the top 5. And these were some of the teams that came up in the conversation. First up, I'll go ahead and talk about the men's soccer team, who after expecting to compete for the A10 championship yet again, finished the season at a disappointing 7-7-3, 3-2-2 in Atlantic 10 play. They just missed the Atlantic 10 tournament by finishing in 9th place. Still though, the team had a very competitive season against national ranked opponents with a talented young squad returning. This year they also was able to see senior Taylor Washington get drafted to the Philadelphia Union. Only reason why they didn't make the top 5 is probably because they underperformed a little. Still, strong season for the team.
Another honorable mention goes to the women's cross country and track and field team. We will combine them as we did with the men's team. Cross country team had some strong performances throughout the season, including Bailey Kolinich, who was named to the women's academic all-conference team for the A10 conference. As a team, they finished 11 out of 14 in the A10 and 25th in the Southeast Regionals. But the track and field team has had even more success. They continued to perform well in the indoor track season, which they finished 3rd out of the 13 teams in the A10, and they're still competing in the outdoor track and field season. Lindsay Morin and Sarah Moore earned Performer of the Week honors during the indoor track and field season. And while they are losing some talented seniors, the talent that will be returning should be able to have even a better season next year. So more good things to come for the women's cross country and track and field teams.
Another team we'll mention is the softball team, who shocked the conference in the Atlantic 10 championship tournament last year by knocking off the top seed Dayton, who would eventually come back and compete for the championship but losing to Fordham. This season, however, the team is currently at 500 with a 22-22 record, one of the best they've had in a while, but they are 8-10 in conference play. As of today, they sit in 6th place, the last spot to make the conference tournament. However, if they can make it, they will be sure to be looking to make another run. However, this time, hopefully, is for the Atlantic 10 championship.
And our last honorable mention goes to the men's basketball team. Under first-year head coach Dave Paulson, the team has given us hope. After some disappointing seasons, they've come out, and one of their big wins was an unbelievable win against the VCU Rams at what was an explosively loud Eagle Bank Arena. And when we go back to when they are successful, we'll look back at that game as the turnaround for the team. One of the big parts of this most recent men's basketball team was senior Siobhan Thompson, who finished his career at Mason by averaging a double-double in his senior season with 10 points and 10 rebounds, and was also invited to the 2016 Reese's College All-Star Game and the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament, both of which will give him a chance to impress NBA scouts and potentially get a chance at an NBA roster spot.
Okay. Just because they beat VCU, that's honestly probably the only reason why we put them in that top honorable mention. However, at this point, there should be no surprise at who is the number 1 team. But if you're still wondering, dramatic pause, the Mason Sports Insider number 1 team of the year is none other than the men's volleyball team.
Who else is more deserving than the men's volleyball team? Despite bringing in another first-year head coach in Jay Hosack, the talented roster embraced the new system, and they were able to make history. They did so by first making history by beating Penn State in their final home game of the season. They turned around, defeated Penn State for the first time in 8 seasons. Then, something even bigger than that, was turning around in the EIVA tournament, which after beating Harvard in the first round, they went on and defeated the St. Francis Red Flash for their first EIVA tournament championship in 27 years. It's hard to really say that any other team could claim this top spot for best season in the 2015-2016 school year.
Yeah, they're making the NCAA tournament for the first time since 1988. They enter the team as the number 11 team in the nation in the AVCA coaches poll, their highest ranking since back in 2009. And this season they have played 3 of the other 5 teams in the NCAA tournament. First up though for them will be the MIVA champions and the number 2 team in the country in the Ohio State Buckeyes, who the Patriots lost to 3-0 on the road earlier in this season. In this match, the team struggled to get going offensively, hitting at 187. Meanwhile, the Buckeyes had the 2016 MIVA Player of the Year and Nicholas Scherzen to get 18 kills, in a 3-set match. He also recorded a team and game high 9 digs in the game. However, since that game, the team has entirely changed. The green and gold's blocking ability has drastically improved and now averages to 2 blocks per set. With that squad, they are also spreading out the attack to Malias, Jack Wilson, Radislav Popov, and Paco Velez. Brian Negron will have multiple options to go to when his team is able to retrieve the ball, hopefully off of a Sturgeon attack. So that game's tomorrow night. By the time this is up, it will probably already be happening. Hopefully, if they win that game, which is a playing game, by the way, they will be in the semifinals of the NCAA tournament, and then they will go on to face the UCLA Bruins, who were the runner-ups in the MPSF conference. Right now, they are ranked 3rd in the country, and the Patriots also faced UCLA in a season opener in a close one, but still lost 3-0.
That's big, though, that the fact that they played Ohio State and UCLA, so they know what they're going up against.
And potentially BYU. I mean, who knows?
Exactly.
Amazing to put things together.
Hey, it's playoff time. That means anything can happen. People were hoping that they could beat Penn State. People were hoping that they could win the EIVA tournament. Was it a real possibility? It was kind of 50-50, but they've done it. Mm-hmm. So who says that they can't go in and make a run at the NCAA tournament? This team is sensational this year. Jay Hosack, I had some questions about him. I'll be honest, in the beginning part of the season, they weren't winning. They seemed to be a little confused. Paco Velez wasn't playing. He wasn't doing as much. Christian Malias was being the leader, which is something we haven't seen, but it's clearly worked.
It worked, yeah.
And so my hat's off to you, Jay Hosack, and I apologize if you go back to any previous episodes where I may have called you out or something, because this team was sensational to watch this year.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things that the team also bought in.
Exactly.
It's one of those things we didn't understand, and at the time it seemed like the team didn't understand. But there was a point about, I don't want to say halfway in, because that's when the team started railing off that 9-game winning streak to end the season, but it was just right around a couple games into EIVA play, all of a sudden everything came together, mm-hmm. and they realized what they were capable of, and it's shown here at the end of the season. Although some people may say they didn't beat Penn State to win the EIVA, they did, and they did so by beating them on senior night, last day of the regular season, to actually put them in that number 2 seed and completely changing the complexion of the EIVA tournament.
Without a doubt. This, as you said, we can't see it, but they saw it, and it was, a slow foundation build. You have to build the structure around it. That's what happened in the first few games, and then at the end, you throw it all together, and it all comes together for a beautiful masterpiece of a team. And they did so, to me, in a very surprising way. Christian Malias stepped up in a big way this year. He was first in the team in kills, which usually goes to Paco Velez. So when Velez leaves next year, we have Christian Malias right there to take his spot. And then, 6 players had 100 or more kills. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't just Jack Wilson and Paco Velez, Radislav Popov. It was those 3, plus Malias, plus Garrett Kolar, and a couple other players. So they have talent all across the board, which means only more good things to come.
Yeah, new head coach, new system, won the EIVA championship in his first time. We'll see where Jay Hosack can take them. And their season is not over yet. NCAA tournament starts Tuesday at 8. If it gets out before then, we don't think it will. And then they will potentially have more games to come later in this week.
So that does it for our top 5, but there are some teams that are still playing. So let's take a look at the current A10 standings.
Yeah, let's go ahead and look at the women's lacrosse bracket, which, as we mentioned, is kicking off this weekend. George Mason got the number 2 seed, and they will be facing off against the winner of the Duquesne Dukes and the Richmond Spiders. They lost to Duquesne earlier in this year, but beat Richmond. So, I mean, you know who the women's team's pulling for right there.
Well, yeah, obviously they would like Richmond to win, especially because the playoffs are going to be held in Pittsburgh, so it would essentially be a home game for the Dukes. But if they are able to win that, they will most likely take on the University of Massachusetts, who are now on, I think, a 45-game winning streak against conference opponents. So they will most likely have to face them. But, anything can happen because, again, it is playoff time. So women's lacrosse, a couple of games upcoming, hopefully.
Yep, good luck to you guys going forward. Now let's go ahead and look at the Atlantic 10 baseball standings. Baseball team not quite as well where we want them to this year. But, hey, they're not alone in the basement anymore, and they still have a chance.
Are you saying there's a chance? There is a chance. You're right, Tyler. Currently towards the bottom of the standings, 4-11 only in conference play, but they have been playing a little bit better of late. They had a good couple wins the last couple weekends, so they're right there right now. 9-6. George Washington holding that 6th seed playoff spot. So maybe if they can make a little bit of a run, win the last few series, you never know. Stuff can happen.
Yeah, I mean, heck, if they go 9-0, which against the teams they're playing is not entirely impossible, they will play St. Bonaventure, LaSalle, and the University of Massachusetts.
All teams with losing records right now in the conference.
So we'll see what happens with them. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our final spring sport. Softball team, they'll be wrapping up pretty soon. Only one series left for them. Currently, as I mentioned earlier, they are sitting in an Atlantic 10 playoff spot. But at 8-10, 22-22, they're also taking on Fordham in this last series. Fordham, second team in the conference right now.
Yeah, Fordham is going to be a tough team to play. And then even if they make it to the playoffs, you have the likes of Dayton and Fordham right there at the top having phenomenal seasons. They're going to be tough teams to beat. However, they did it last year, so why not again this year? But coming away with that final series win against Fordham, that's going to be crucial because they're only holding a slight lead over St. Joe's.
And they don't even have to win all three. Maybe just like 2 out of the 3.
Exactly.
And
just win the series. Don't need to sweep.
Well, we'll try and make it quick because we're running out of time on our final episode of 2015-2016 school year. But one final time, here's our upcoming schedule, and this one will be listing all of the championships forthcoming for all of the teams. First up, as we mentioned, the men's volleyball team. They will be facing off against Ohio State Tuesday at 8. If they win, they will face UCLA on Thursday, also at 8 o'clock. And then the NCAA championship will be on Saturday night against, could be anyone, BYU, Erskine, Long Beach State, take your pick.
And other A10 championships going on. The playoffs for the women's lacrosse team, again, going against Duquesne or Richmond, the winner of that, coming on Thursday. They will play Friday, and then if they win that, they will play on the 8th versus, to be determined, most likely University of Massachusetts.
Yep, outdoor track and field team as well as the rowing teams will host the Atlantic 10 Championships. Both of those are this weekend, so either make it out to Mason Stadium or make it down to Occoquan because you will see some sort of A10 championship. Softball team, they then head to Arlington next weekend for May 11th through 14th for the A10 Championships, which will be hosted by GW.
And the baseball team's A10 championships coming up in a few weeks, May 25th through 28th in the Bronx at Fordham University.
Yep, and then potential IC4A, ECAC, and potential NCAA tournament for the track and field team as well. Well, Dan, it has been a fun ride this year. Thanks for joining me, actually. I mean, it's fun not doing it by myself anymore, although you can be annoying getting the script done on time. But
well, thank you, Tyler, although your kind words are always fulfilling to me. I appreciate it, though, you bringing me on. I watched the show last year, and you were by yourself. You did a phenomenal job, but it was definitely, I learned a lot, and I'm very thankful for this opportunity, and I'll try my best to make it even better next year.
Yeah, to all of our viewers, it's been an honor to host this show for the past 2 years. Now I'll be gone. Dan will be steering the ship, so the show will not be quite as good, but still adequate nonetheless. You can get all your Mason athletic news right here on Mason Sports Insider. In all seriousness, Dan will have you covered. So as for me, I hope I'll be able to see you all next time. That is all we have for today.